everybody, welcome to The Garage. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton's behind the camera. The Court of Public Opinion is in session. Brought to you with the very best wishes of our dear friends at the Rising Sun Inn, by the way. The Rising Sun Inn, just down here in Kensington. It is a wonderful place if you'd like to pop in, have a drink, or if you're having a special occasion, a romantic dinner for two, maybe, or perhaps a family brunch. Just give them a call. Have a talk to Grant. I'll give you his phone number. It's 8333-0721, one of our lovely sponsors, the Rising Sun Inn. We're recording, and not in time for the recording, the latest inflation figures. Now, these figures that will be out later today are the important ones. These are going to have an impact on the decision that the Reserve Bank will make regarding interest rates, because this is not just a 1 month snapshot, this is a 3 month snapshot, which will give them a much better idea what's happening in the economy. And speaking of the economy, the latest ComSec State of the States economic snapshot is out, and for the third consecutive time, South Australia has been found to be leading the nation. That's pretty darn good. Very good. However, a clear warning from one leading real estate expert who says that he believes that one more interest rate hike could sink the economy, could burst the real estate bubble, good and proper. Now, people, he says, would default on their mortgage repayments. They just couldn't pay their mortgage repayments. Houses would be sold, lots of them, for less than the bank is owed, putting the entire economy in jeopardy. Now, I don't know. I don't really believe it. But we will have this gentleman. His name is Adam Flynn. We'll have him on the show on Friday morning, 9 to 12, live streaming, jeremycordeaux.com. I do hope you will join us. The Stobie Pole is 100 years old this week. Pete?
I didn't know that.
No. Is there anything worse than a Stobie pole?
It's pretty ugly.
Yeah. They tell me that they don't have them anywhere else in Australia. And the reason was we have a fairly unique white ant problem, apparently, and the white ants would eat the telegraph poles. So they had to figure out something that would be more long-lasting. So they put a couple of, I suppose they're girders or railway lines, with it's hard to explain if you've never seen one, with a lot of concrete in the middle. So it's like a concrete sandwich sort of thing. I don't know why I brought it up, but we have 150,000 of the bloody things across the state, and every time they replace one, I'm told they have to pay the Stobie estate, it's named after a guy called Stobie, they have to pay the Stobie estate a royalty. And you know, they kill a lot of people. They're very unforgiving if you hit one. I think they're an absolute hazard. There is a superannuation scam going around that I want to tell you about, well, warn you about. Cold calls come in, and you pick up the telephone, and the person urges you to let them give your superannuation a check. See if you're getting the sort of results that you want. The intention really is to move your account and get you a better return. But don't fall for it. People are being warned that it's very difficult if you're comparing apples with apples to know that you're comparing apples with apples when it comes to superannuation. They're just cold calling and trying to round up business. That's what they're doing. Be careful. Get advice. A reshuffle of ministerial portfolios. You would know about that. Happened on the weekend. But with this crazy system that we have, I don't think it matters. None of these people really know anything about their portfolios. I suspect their departments just lead them around by the nose. And I would argue that they have such little life experience that it doesn't really matter what portfolio they have. Should be the best person for the job gets the job. The person with the most knowledge of that particular subject. Well, it isn't. That's not how it's decided. It's the factions that rule Labor. The factions, just like the old 12 faceless men, where the PM used to get his riding instructions from the 12 faceless men, and he would go away and dutifully do what he is told. Not the way I'd run a country. If having the most number of portfolios makes you the winner, by the way, then it has got to be Tony Burke. He's a good talker, Tony Burke, but I can't remember him ever distinguishing himself in any other past portfolio that he's had. But wow, he's got he's got four ministries, four ministries, portfolios: immigration, home affairs, technology, or more what you'd call, I suppose, cyber security, and the arts as well, I think. And that's on top of being the leader of the House. Now, I don't think it's physically or mentally possible to be responsible or cognizant of so much. Cyber security alone would be a full-time job at this time. And why has ASIO been moved from Home Affairs to the Attorney General's Department? Home Affairs or Homeland Security would seem to me to be the logical place for your domestic spy organisation, ASIO, and also the Federal Police. But no, they stick it in the Attorney General's Department. You have to forgive me, I've got a frog in my throat. I wonder if frogs ever get people in their throats. Just to be fair. Oh, by the way, Pete, you love Jeeps, don't you?
I love Jeeps, yes.
You've got a Jeep?
Yes.
Right. You'd be interested to know, today is the day in 1941 the first Jeep is produced.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the Jeep.
Wonderful day.
And what does Jeep stand for?
Well, they think the Ford Jeep was called a GPW.
GPW.
And they think that Jeep. They think that's where it came from. The GPW was short to Jeep.
Yeah, the Americans are very good at those sort of things. GI, you know what GI stands for? American GI?
No. General
Issue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see it. I don't get it. But anyway, they can't spell either. Oh dear. This government, at a time of very high energy costs, has just announced. If you haven't heard, let me underline it in red or black or something. Jabiluka will never be mined. Now, this has gone on as a controversy for ages, decades. Jabiluka. It will be absorbed into Kakadu National Park. Now, it shows the priorities of Anthony Albanese. The value to Australia of that huge uranium deposit. Incalculable. But this decision says it all. Just keep remembering that by, what did I tell you, 2030, not that many years away, 2030, Aboriginals will have legal title to 75% of mainland Australia and would not have paid a single penny for it. The country that people have fought for and worked for is being slowly, methodically given away, right underneath our noses. Power prices up 23% over the last 2 months. 23%, ladies and gentlemen, over the last 2 months, compared to this time last year. Now, according to AEMO, that's the, now what does that stand for? The Australian Energy Marketing Organisation. No demand problems. No demand problems at all. The spike was caused by supply. Coal-fired power generators, once reliable, have been allowed to run down because the people who own them have been told loud and clear they don't have a future. So they have just been allowed to run down. This stupid government has taken us from the cheapest energy in the world to the most expensive energy in the world. Another good reason to relegate them to the dustbin of Australian political history, I would say. I was talking on Friday about the climate warriors running around the country checking old coal mines for leaking methane. Thermal imaging or something. Anyway, Professor Plimer, who was at the dining room table, comes in most every Friday. He's a wonderful guest, Ian Plimer. He was quick to point out that weevils, white ants, termites were the greatest producers of methane, along with wetlands and marshes and deltas. Nothing to do with coal mines, but these guys just hate the mining industry, as it does for Australia today what the sheep industry did yesterday. That is, producing the wealth and prosperity of the country. And these idiots can't or don't want to join the dots. Zack Smith, the new head of the CFMEU, says that he will introduce a code of conduct. Whoa! Now, the code of conduct, that's instead of, I guess, the code of silence? Or speak up and we'll declare your job black. Anyway, it's a good idea, Zach, a code of conduct. But why didn't you guys think of doing that years ago? Why didn't you? Oh, Roundup has been given the thumbs up. Pete, did you hear about that?
No, I hadn't.
You see, if you look around this property, I don't know how many industrial-sized tins or cans or drums of Roundup I have got over the years. I had to. I mean, when I came up here to the foothills, it was all bamboo and blackberries. If you don't get the blackberries under control, you're in serious trouble. Anyway, Roundup has been given the thumbs up. A clean bill of health. No evidence that it is carcinogenic. None whatsoever. Rumours, yeah, I've heard the rumours. Morris Blackburn, one of those no-win, no-fee law firms, was fighting the case in the federal court. Very big class action, more than 1,000 people. This must have cost a great deal of money and time. Well, I guess they expected to make a great deal of money. Monsanto is the huge firm, chemical company that manufactures and markets Roundup. Well, I guess in that game of no win, no fee, you win some and you lose some. Well, they lost that one. I heard this amazing story on the ABC. It was about, speaking of things in the garden, it was about invasive plant species. Sounds threatening, doesn't it? Invasive plant species taking over and destroying our environment. I can see them reaching for the Roundup. And you know what's getting up their nose? Ivy. Ivy. A most wonderful ground cover. And a very, very decorative plant. I got it everywhere. And you can get big-leafed ivy, you can get variegated leafed ivy, you can get small-leafed ivy. Oh, it's a wonderful plant. But you know what? They don't like it. It's not native. Oh, it's not native. Oh, who gives a damn? The most wonderful thing you can do, in my opinion, to enhance a home. Keeps the weeds down too. Nothing grows through the ivy. The only downside I can see to having ivy on the ground is that the snakes do hide in it. And every once in a while you hear a little swish, 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 and you know that there's a snake in there. I believe plant ivy, evergreen, all year round. Well, except for the Boston ivy, that's the one I'd have climbing on the house. Looks fantastic. Green in summer and red in autumn and loses its leaves, and that's good. That's good. I'll leave you with one little thought here. This came up on Facebook, and you're possibly watching this on Facebook because it's posted on Tuesday and Wednesday on Facebook, and Andy Martin then takes the audio and makes a podcast out of it, and it's posted just about everywhere you get your favourite podcasts from. But this came up on Facebook, and I thought it worthwhile repeating it for you. A violinist played for 45 minutes in the New York subway. A handful of people stopped, a couple clapped, and the violinist raised about $30 in tips. Now, Pete, you could identify with this, because Pete goes out doing some busking here and there. He's very good at it. But these days you've got to have an FPOS thing, don't you? Because people don't have any cash.
Yeah. Well, I've just organised a QR code.
A QR code. Yeah. All right. Well, you have to keep us across where you're going to be next time.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, he raised about $30 in tips, the violinist, on the New York subway. No one knew this, but the violinist was Joshua Bell. Joshua Bell, one of the best musicians in the world. In that subway, Joshua played one of the most intricate pieces ever written for the violin. Oh yes, and his violin was worth $3.5 million. $3.5 million. I think on the New York subway somebody might have mugged him for that, if they'd known. Now, 2 days before he was down there playing the violin, Joshua Bell sold out a Boston theatre. The seats averaged $100 each. Now, the experiment that I've just told you about is proof that the extraordinary in an ordinary environment does not shine, and is so often overlooked and undervalued. There are brilliantly talented people everywhere who aren't receiving the recognition and reward they deserve. But once they are themselves and are removed from an environment that isn't serving them, they thrive, they grow, they glow. Your gut is telling you something. If it's telling you where you are is not enough, go where you are appreciated and valued. And know your worth. As I say when I finish these broadcasts in the garage, believe in yourself. Now that's the story as best I remember it that I read on Facebook. But I think it's pretty darn profound, frankly. I'll give you some birthdays. Happy birthday, happy wedding anniversary. It's the 31st. And I didn't bring my glasses, so you'll have to forgive me if I squint or get some of these wrong. 2023. A rare spotless giraffe, the only one known of in the world, was born at Bright's Zoo in Tennessee. A spotless giraffe. Must be sort of like an albino giraffe, I guess. That was just last year on this day. 1944, the last deportation train departs for Auschwitz. 1853, the first night surgery performed in the Ukraine using the new kerosene oil lamp. 1853. It'd be simpler just to wait till dawn, wouldn't it? It must have been an emergency operation. I can only imagine. Yvonne Goolagong Cawley, Australian tennis player, 7 Grand Slams, born in New South Wales on this day in 1951. Black Tot Day, the last day of the officially sanctioned rum ration in the Royal Navy, 1740. Let's see, 1965. The writer of Harry Potter, Miss Rowling, was born. God, she's rolling in money these days. Happy birthday, my dear. 1959, Cliff Richard and the Shadows have their first British #1 single, Living Doll. 1959, golly, golly, golly. What else can I tell you? Ted Cassidy, American actor, born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was in the Addams Family. 1932, the last Playboy Club in the United States of America closes in Michigan in 1988. Oh dear. Christopher Columbus is the first European to discover the island of Trinidad on his 3rd voyage, 1498. And in 1790, the first US patent was granted, the first ever US patent to Samuel Hopkins for a potash process. A potash process, whatever the hell that is. Can you imagine having the #1 first ever American patent for anything? There's a lovely story about the patent office, if I've got a second. I think it was, President, was it Hoover? Oh, I think it might have been. Anyway, they were looking at ways of cutting money, and we're talking about the 50s or something like that. They were thinking of ways of saving money, and somebody, the treasurer or whoever, he said, I got a great idea. Let's just finish the patents office. We can save millions there, because everything that could be invented has been invented. Just think, we could save all that money. Nope, not a good idea. We'll see you around the dining room table, ladies and gentlemen, between 9 o'clock and 12, jeremycordeaux.com, live streaming our 3-hour radio program with lots of interesting guests, and of course, you and your phone calls if you'd like to join us. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton and I will be back with our postings on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Believe in yourself, and goodbye from the Court of Public Opinion.